There's now only 3 Black women playing professional hockey.
In Canada?
In general.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. The height of George Floyd, first ever pro game, I kneeled for the anthem, and that went off. Like death threat emails, and instead of raising $5,000, I raised $35,000, and I started the Canadian entity of Black Girl Hockey Club. Black Girl Hockey Club is our nonprofit. We have scholarship and financial aid. We'll provide community events for the girls, and then the other aspect is the mentorship program.
You went to Yale, only Black hockey player in the history of both men and female, so what's it like being the only Black person on a team?
I just remember not always feeling included. Mentally, I don't have anything left to give to the playing aspect of hockey. I have a lot more to give in terms of the barriers I can break down in the sport, continuing to do so as a Black woman in broadcasting now.
Funny, I wanted to talk about how we met. Do you remember?
Oh yeah.
2020.
Oh my gosh, you're gonna still tell them I couldn't get into the party?
It's not that you couldn't get into the party. It was more so that I didn't believe you.
Yeah, I was like, I'm on the list.
And you're on the list, and I'm like, well, I have the list in my hand.
You ain't showing me not on the list.
Right, and you were like, your name's not here. You're like, yo, I'm with Mav Carter. I was like, okay, I understand that, but what I was told was everyone who I'm taking care of is on this list. So you and your boyfriend were out there for like 10 minutes.
Yeah.
And
looking good and everything.
100%. Both of you guys looking phenomenal. I felt so bad. And then, funny enough, 2 years later, you are hosting a party that I'm also working at again.
Yeah.
And everything came full circle. But I want to tie that back in at the end of this.
Okay.
But that was how I kind of wanted to start things and talk about how we actually met.
Yeah.
And then
it's okay. Story of my life.
Yeah. But I honestly did want to know, for the people who don't know you and will listen to this interview, what do you want them to know about you?
Geez, just that I wear a lot of hats. I can do a lot of different things.
Okay.
I'm in broadcasting right now. I'm also the manager of diversity, equity, inclusion for the PWHL. I run my nonprofit, Black Girl Hockey Club. I'm a painter. I do my art. And I have a show on TSN, Breaking Down Barriers.
How'd you get into all those different things?
Oh geez, hockey. Honestly, hockey was what brought me to all of those different things. I think I've milked hockey for what it's worth so far, but Black Girl Hockey Club started because I wanted a space for Black women to be able to have fun in hockey and be able to just be themselves. Broadcasting came from me playing hockey and just using my voice and my platform. And then I was in Black Ice, so that's where I was contacted to be the host of my show.
We're going to talk about that.
Yeah, and then painting. I've just always loved art, but never really had any time for it because I was always playing hockey. And now I've kind of taken a deeper dive into that and started painting studio.
Would you say hockey is a form of art?
Yeah, definitely. I think hockey is what brought all of the artistic abilities out of me. Like now I want to produce and tell stories. I want to highlight other people in the community and make sure that their voices are heard. So hockey's allowed me to be creative now, and I didn't know that hockey could ever allow me to do that.
Seems like hockey was the bedrock and the foundation for you to sprout your wings or
for sure
blossom into all the diversity. I wish I could paint shit. So did you start painting as a kid?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, my mom is pretty good at art.
Okay.
She would definitely not say she is, but she's a good painter. She paints like landscape and stuff. And I just remember always going to like Loblaws Superstore, go to like cooking classes with her. We'd go to a painting class. And that was kind of like our thing. And I always took art all the way through high school, but still never had any time for painting outside of that. It was get home, do my lab homework, and go to hockey. So when COVID hit and I wasn't playing hockey, we were sent home. That was my senior year of Yale. I just started painting again because I really had nothing else to do other than do my classes. I didn't have a senior spring, so painting was my senior spring, I guess.
Interesting. When did you, like, were you a kid when you started painting? Like, how old were you when you started doing that?
I would say probably 7 or 8. My art started to look good, where your parents aren't just like, oh, this is great, sweetie. I was like, oh wow, okay,
A+.
You can draw and you can paint and stuff. So, I think I realized around between 7 and 10 that I was good at art as well.
Where are you from?
Oshawa, Ontario.
Okay, the Big O.
Yes, the Dirty Schwa.
That's what they call it, the Dirty Schwa?
Yeah.
Okay, yep. I just made up the Big O. Look at me. What's it like growing up there?
It's more of a factory town, so I mean GM factories there, so it's definitely very white space.
Okay.
I think there was probably me and 3 other black girls in my graduating class in high school.
Right.
And my mom actually grew up in Oshawa, so she's never left Oshawa. And then my dad lived in Scarborough growing up and moved to Oshawa. Met my mom there. So I grew up in Oshawa, never really left until it was time to go to college, but hockey was what brought me all around the world to see other places other than just Oshawa.
Do you come from a big family? Like, are your brothers and sisters athletic as well?
Yeah, my brothers, I have 3 brothers, so I'm the second oldest, 30, I'm 25, 23, and 13.
Okay.
So my brothers, they're more laid back. They don't like to be yelled at. They're not like the intense, like outgoing guys. That's me. So I think my dad gets the sport aspect from his one and only girl, and I definitely point that out for my brothers. But my brothers are very athletic guys. I wish they would have put more into their sport because they're probably better athletes than me. But
really,
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but they don't like the intensity. So.
Huh.
Yeah.
But you relish in that.
Oh yeah, anything like competition. Everything's a competition for me. As unhealthy as that may be, I think it helped me get to where I am today.
Of course. So. Do you think all athletes have that or need that? Everything needs to be a competition?
Yeah, for sure. I think some athletes have it and some don't, but I think it just depends on the way you play your game. Like, I think I play better when I'm slightly angry, so, you know.
I don't know if I want to see that very much. Well, actually, I did at the LeBron party.
Yeah, I was like, let me in.
It is reported in high school that you were an 8-sport athlete.
Yes.
So you played badminton, soccer, basketball, curling, field, lacrosse, track and field, hockey, and even ultimate frisbee. So out of all the things I just named, why did you gravitate towards hockey, and how long has hockey been a part of your life?
Yeah, I mean, I started out in gymnastics and dance, and very soon I was told I was too tall for gymnastics. They were already switching the bars. I had different practice times. I've been like 5'9", 5'10" since I was probably 10, 12. So I was pretty big.
You're taller than the boys.
Yeah, way bigger than all the boys. So my dad was like, let's just make you a big hockey defenseman. So that's what I was up until past, like, I guess a month ago.
Yeah.
But I mean, I would say basketball and soccer were my main 2 loves. Like, I like to play soccer and like to play basketball more than I like to play hockey. But hockey was what provided me with all the opportunities. I was being recruited in grade 9 for Ivy League schools. I had committed to play at Yale my grade 10 summer. So I knew what I was aiming for, and hockey was just what had taken me to that point. I also made the U18 national team, so I knew it was an opportunity for me to play on the national team for hockey, and my offers for soccer were more so D3, so I figured why not just go with hockey.
And hockey was all D1. What about basketball? Did you have any offers there?
I had some offers for basketball, but I mean, it was D3. I wanted to play D1, and hockey was the main focus. Hockey was, I mean, I had to stop playing travel basketball because I was focused on hockey. Hockey and basketball are the same season too, so that made it difficult. But soccer was probably the other one. I really like soccer. I actually almost quit my senior year at Yale and walked onto the soccer team.
No way.
My 2 best friends were on soccer, and I just didn't feel like I had a place in hockey anymore. But we stayed, and quitting doesn't sit right with me, so we finished out in hockey.
Interesting. Well, we're gonna get to what you just said about not having a place at I'd love to dive deeper into that. But you brought up something a bit earlier that you talked about your dad. So how did Harville? That's the most Jamaican name.
Yeah. Yeah.
How did Harville shape you as a player? And you talked about him a little bit and how he shaped that. So talk to me about that.
Yeah, actually, I recovered the video of me receiving my first pair of skates a few weeks ago.
No way.
And they were just like these big skates that probably wouldn't have even fit me. But my dad has been the reason I play hockey. My dad grew up in Scarborough, as I mentioned, and he just remembers so much racism in the sport.
Really?
He was a goalie. He remembers like lugging his bag on the Scarborough city bus to get to the rink and racist comments being made to him about like why he shouldn't be playing hockey. And he just loved the sport. He's a huge Leaf fan, which, I mean, I don't know if I respect that, but at the same time, he's the person that put me in hockey, and he was the one that always told me to just prove them wrong and let their comments go in one ear and out the other, and just show them what you have on the ice, and just continue to play.
Do you think hearing his experiences with being racism made you want to do it even more, made you want to play even more and be a part of it? Because it is so uncommon to see a black man, let alone black woman, doing well in a predominantly white dominated sport, right?
Yeah, I think like I said, I'm super competitive, so it was just always like prove them wrong. Like, okay, you don't think I'm good enough to be on this team, I'm going to show you exactly why I am. So I think it allowed me to fulfill my competitive needs. But at the same time, it definitely took a toll on me just having to prove people wrong all the time, and you know, not necessarily feeling like I was welcomed on my team and whatnot. But my dad was always that person that I would go to afterwards and be like, why is this happening? He's like, it's gonna happen until you're done. So, and it might still happen. So,
what's it like being the only black person on a team? Do you find you have to change who you are depending on who you're around?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I laugh at myself now. I go back to when I played for Clarington Flames, so on the other side of Oshawa, even farther out.
Clarington.
Yeah, Clarington.
I don't even know where that is.
It's like farm town, and I was the only black girl on my team, and honestly, yeah, I just remember not always feeling included. Like some of the things they say, it's not necessarily what you consider funny. Or
like what?
I don't know, like hockey dressing room jokes, things like that. But I even remember like wearing like khakis and Sperry's and like listening to country music because I was trying to fit in, and like that's not me.
Not Sperry's.
Yeah, like Sperry's. Why? Like
right.
Not cute. So definitely tried to alter my own personality and what I like to try and fit in with my teammates. But farther along as I got, I just realized like I can't continue to fake who I am. And if they don't like me for who I am, then that's just that. But that's what makes it hard when you have to play on teams when you're not necessarily liked for who you are.
Yeah. It's very profound and very true. And you show a lot of strength and character into remaining who you are and still being able to, you know, be a part of a team and do that. And that's something you've had to deal with your entire life. So you talked about Yale. You went to Yale, only black female in the history, only black hockey player in the history of both men and female. So talk about your experience there.
Yeah. So when I got to Yale, I really thought my team would be really inclusive. Everyone obviously has good grades and is smart and is educated. But again, like the ignorance of just black individuals and our history was just completely lacking, and just comments being made and whatnot. So right away when I got to Yale, I realized how cliquey it was and that it was honestly kind of worse than my minor hockey days. And again, that goes to team culture. It's your captain that facilitates that. It's the team conversations, the team building that you have, and we just didn't have that. So I had to reach elsewhere and find friends. So my two best friends are on Yale soccer. They both play professional soccer now. And if I didn't have them, I would just be locked into my hockey community, which I initially thought that that's what it was going to be, because we play hockey for 40 hours a week. You don't have time to do or hang out with many other people. So I definitely expected them to be more inclusive and more welcoming. But that wasn't necessarily the case every year I was there.
So what was it like? Were you just excluded? You weren't talked to, and then, like, they made jokes, or what? Like,
yeah, I think it was more so. I mean, I would by my senior year, I didn't have an issue calling those things out.
Right.
So
when
I mean,
you're a rookie though.
Yeah, and exactly. When you're a rookie, you just want to fall in line, do what you're told, and get the playing time that you hope you want. So in that sense, senior year, I kind of started to speak up. Just hearing certain comments, like just ignorant comments, microaggressions that we hear, and it's like, hey, that's not okay. And I would approach it, I would talk to my coach, and his suggestion at the time was actually for me to give a presentation on our history and what we've gone through to explain that to my teammates. And again, that's just like another aspect of the game where it's like, no, like that's so lacking. You can't expect me as a black individual to teach them and get up to date on all of this information, nor should that pressure fall on me.
Right.
So
a presentation.
Yes.
That was their suggestion.
Yes, my junior
at
year.
an Ivy League school. Not
Yes.
very smart.
Exactly. So I went and talked to the dean of the African American house at Yale, and she was like, really? Like, this ain't it. So we had to further facilitate from there, but not even necessarily just comments about Black individuals.
Right.
It was comments about other races
Anybody.
and anything. And none of that is okay, because then that leads to further exclusion for those people that want to get into hockey. And we know hockey is an incredibly white space, and we're trying to change that.
Were you able to continue on at Yale without, because as you said, you almost quit.
Yeah.
So you quit because you weren't really included, and you felt, well, I like soccer, I may as well go play that at the same school, because you did want to be at Yale.
Yeah.
You just didn't want to deal with that.
Yeah, and at that point, I think I viewed hockey as a job. It was just like, put my headphones in, show up at the rink, do my job on the ice as the D-man out there, and go home.
D-woman.
Yeah, D-woman, you know. But at the same time, I think that I wanted to reach out and find other communities that included me, and I needed to find other friends. I was just sick and tired of only having this hockey community to reach out to and go to. And actually, going into my senior year, we had a coaching change, so our head coach changed, and he definitely made an effort to talk to me and figure out what we needed to do to further include people. And at the time, there was a freshman on the team. That was the first time I'd ever played with another Black player, Kirsten Good. She's a senior there this year.
Nice.
I'm super excited to go back for her senior night, but I just wanted to make an effort and make sure she wasn't going to have to go through the same things I went through. And the new coach my senior year was fully on board with creating a new team culture, because that's exactly what Yale hockey needed. And I mean, I would say he did a pretty good job. Coach Mark Bolding, they were in Frozen Four last year. They're a nationally ranked team now, and that was not a thing when we were there. So he's brought the program to new lengths, and I do think a lot of that is to do with team culture.
Beautiful. I think out of everything you've said so far, you've dealt with a lot of isolation by choosing hockey.
Yeah.
And I think you've done a great job of doing that. Would you say that you're more introverted or extroverted because of that? Has that affected how you do things outside of your sport, because you've always kind of been by yourself? You weren't like everybody else in hockey. So
yeah, I'm definitely lonesome in that
Okay.
sense. Like, I would say I'm always doing work. I don't really hang out with friends that often, but I'm learning how to make friends now. Obviously, my teammates were my friends and whatnot, but they're not the ones that I'm like going to the Raptors games with and going to the parties that I like to go to and eating the food that I like to eat. So finding new friends now outside of hockey has been exciting, but I would say I'm honestly more introverted. I am pretty mellow when I'm talking, just like to my partner or to my friends. And I think I have like an on and off switch when I'm doing public speaking and in broadcasting and stuff, because I am pretty mellow when it comes to things.
not today.
Yeah, no, exactly. But like, I'm on right now, you know, so
Yeah.
it's one of those things. But other than that, at home, I'm chilling.
I like that. You're 25. You're 3 years into your hockey career. Did you always want to play pro hockey, or was that something that you were like, was a goal when you were a kid?
Yeah.
Right? Did you always want to do that?
Actually, pro hockey wasn't even really an option when I was a kid. It was playing in the Olympics. That was the goal. There wasn't really a pro hockey league to aspire to be in. So CWHL, that league folded my sophomore year of college, and then the NWHL / PHF and the PWHPA weren't paid positions. So I always say my first NWHL contract, my first pro contract, was for $5,000. So I had agreed to play on the New York team.
For the season or for the?
Yeah, for the season.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, for a 6-month season, $5,000.
Hey man, hey, it bees like that.
Yeah.
It really does.
Yeah, so playing pro hockey wasn't really on the table. I wanted to go get my education and go from there. That's the reason why I chose to go to Yale. I had scholarship offers like Ohio State and whatnot, but chose to focus and go to Yale, go to an Ivy League school and get my education. And then pro hockey, I mean, COVID happened. So I was supposed to be working in medical devices in New York City. And that's why I had agreed to sign with the New York team. I'd been drafted 4th overall to the New York team and signed for $5,000 and was going to work outside of that. So that was what that was. And moving forward, I asked for a trade to the Toronto team, and then salaries started to go up. And now we have the PWHL.
But you've decided to step away from hockey.
Yes, I have.
I was going to say, you're 25, 3 years into your pro career, and you decide to retire when salaries are going up. And I know you're about your money. I know you're about getting paid, and that's why it was easy for you to say, okay, I'll play hockey, but I'll also work outside of this, because at Yale, you said to me, that the average salary after graduating is what?
Yeah, it's between 80 and 100.
So you were ready.
Yeah. So that's what I had hoped to make.
Right.
And obviously a $5,000 contract doesn't necessarily get you there.
A bit off.
Yeah. So actually we, the leagues just merged. So the PHF and PWHPA just came together and formed one league. As we know, the women were separate. So I was on the PHF side. I played for Toronto. And at that point we were notified that our contracts had been cut for this upcoming season and that they were starting the PWHL in January, which just started. But at the same time, salaries from PHF had decreased for the PWHL. And I know with everyone coming back together, I would, instead of being a number 2 or 3 defenseman, I would have been 5 or 6, which results in a minimum contract, which results in what I was not planning on making this year. So it was time to pivot and make a switch. But at the same time, I've always said I don't necessarily play hockey because I just love stepping on the ice and love playing hockey. I love being a piece of representation and showing little black girls that they can play as well, as there is now only 3 black women playing professional hockey.
In Canada?
In general.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's deep.
Yeah.
So you would say then it's obviously financially difficult to make a living from hockey, and that wasn't really your goal. You didn't play because you love it. You played because you want to show that you're a part of this and that other people can as well. When did that start to happen? Like, when did that switch where you...
Yeah, I think coming out of Yale, I realized I was going to play professionally. I'd been drafted, and I was like, okay, I play angry every single game I play here at Yale, and I view it as I want to get on the ice, do my job well, and go home. And I couldn't continue to have that mindset. So I needed a new purpose in playing. And that was to play for the little girls behind me. And I made Soroya Strong and Black Girl Hockey Club to continue to amplify as I used my professional platform. So I think it was just really important for me to have that mindset change, or else I would have continued to play angry and then it just would have been pointless playing.
Right.
So.
Why did you play angry?
I think just because of all the situations I had been through in hockey, being excluded, not feeling like I made teams that I should have made. That started when I was 6 or 7. Just constantly having to prove yourself at the end of the day. It's just always. And obviously that's the story of being an athlete, but I do think it's a little different when you're a person of color in a predominantly white sport and have played for so many years. I've played for 23 years since I was 3 or 4. So I understand what the career is like, and I know what it would be like moving forward. And I don't think that that was something that I wanted to be part of my life anymore. To be honest, I think I was ready to move on, and I've been a significantly happier person since letting that announcement out and saying that I'm not playing anymore.
And letting go of that. I mean, you're gonna have to prove yourself in, what we do now as broadcasters and life, of course, but at least the playing field might be a little bit more even. I think it's safe we could both say that with hockey, you're not on a level playing field. You're gonna, like you said, you've been cut from teams you probably should have made.
Yeah.
Can you give me an example?
I mean, actually, when I was playing for Clarington, I started out playing for Oshawa Lady Generals, and they only had an A team, and so I had to switch to Clarington and go and play AA because A was too easy. And at that point, I'd been told by the AA coach that I was making the team, and at this point, I'm 11 or 12, but one of the top players, by all means. So I switched centers. I go try out for Clarington, and at that point, most of the tryouts are going on at the same time. So if I'm trying out for this AA team, I can't go to Whitby and try out for Whitby's AA team. So they strung me along to the last tryout. Apparently some of the parents had issues that I had come in from another center, and they cut me. So I got cut from the AA team. Meanwhile, that's why I moved over there to play AA. And then I go try out for A, and they cut me from the A team as well. Meanwhile, I would have been a top player on the AA team. So I was on the double B team, which is just absurd. So I was on double B, just scoring, whatnot, got moved up to the A team just because it was too easy. And then I played probably 70% of the games with the AA team as a call-up. But again, I'm 11, I'm 12. Those are confidence building moments for these girls. And what I realize now when I have my mentees, and those are things that broke my confidence. And I was very rightfully deserved a spot on the AA team, was a top player even when I got called up. But because of X, Y, and Z, I end up on double B. So.
And then that years and years and years of going through all that would make you want to
Yeah, and it's just the constant feeling left out. It's those little comments. I noticed even when I played at Yale my senior year, someone would make a comment that was subtly racist, microaggressive, whatnot, and normally you look up and it's just like, okay, like I am disgusted by you, and you just have to go fall back into your place. But at that point I would look up, see Kirsten across the room, and we'd be like, oh, okay, like whatever, like make a joke of it, and then it's like, okay, you can let it go. So I think it makes a difference when you even just have one other person in the room, but when you're alone, it's tough.
and you've had to endure that for a good majority.
Yeah, I think when I started playing professionally, that was the first time I realized everyone was gonna be mature about things. Yeah. If they wanted to ask me about something that they thought was ignorant, they would still ask me, but I wouldn't necessarily feel like they were being ignorant. I wanted them to ask me the question because it had never been asked before.
Right. Was it still fun though, playing professionally?
Yeah, of course. I absolutely loved my professional career. I think that was the one aspect of my career where I think I had I don't think I played to my full potential by any means, but I had a good time. And that was the first time in my career I was having fun. I absolutely loved my captain. We won the Isobel Cup last year with
Nice.
Toronto.
I have no idea what that is, but yeah, nice.
It's the Women's Stanley Cup, essentially.
There we go.
So I definitely had friends on my pro team and whatnot, and I think everyone was aware of how I was going to use my platform, and they weren't afraid to ask me questions and get to know me better.
Yeah.
But again, I think that's something that I could have done when I was younger. If I was more comfortable with myself, is have them ask those questions and answer them. But yeah.
Hard to do that when you're young, though.
Yeah, exactly. We don't know those things when
Right.
we're 12. So.
You put a lot into hockey, though. You put 23 years, if I'm
Yep.
not mistaken. Do you think you got everything out the game?
I mean, I definitely, I know I could be playing professionally right now. I was supposed to play for Ottawa in the PWHL, and I announced that I was retiring 2 days before camp. And it was something that I had the offer on the table to be in broadcasting and analytics, and it was just trying to figure out if it was time to pivot or if I had more left in me to give. But mentally, I don't have anything left to give to the playing aspect of hockey. I have a lot more to give in terms of the energy I can put out there and the barriers I can break down in the sport, continuing to do so as a Black woman in broadcasting now.
I don't want to take any credit for your decision to become a broadcaster, but I know Harville definitely wanted you to continue playing hockey.
Yes.
And that's still hard for him to deal with. But why broadcasting? Well, I mean, you have a plethora of things. You're a painter. You have businesses. You're an entrepreneur. Why'd you get into broadcasting?
Yeah, I mean, I will say this. When I was at Yale, I would flip through the syllabus and be like, okay, there's no presentation in this class. Like, we're taking this, because I could not give a 5 or 10 minute presentation without like shaking and sweating. So I think it's something that scares me. So I know every single time a camera's on or I have to do something with my show, I'm nervous. And I think it's just, you want to do things that scare you, because that's the only way you improve. So I think that's a big reason why I wanted to go into broadcasting, is because it's scary. Like that New Year's Day game, like everyone said, oh my goodness, you look so great, Soroya, but I'm like, I am shaking inside. Like I'm so nervous. So I think I just want to do it because it's something that scares me. And again, I get to continue to use my voice and my platform and open up more doors for Black women. Open up the hockey door, open up broadcasting. Like, why not give them so many avenues? And I mean, I can use my degree when I want to. I don't have to go and do medical devices or pharmaceuticals right now. I think I'm pretty good on broadcasting and analytics, so we'll stick with that for now.
So that means, similar to me, that's not something I wanted to do right away, but you'll get over that. You know, I think you're doing a great job being on camera. You'll find in time that it just becomes second nature. It's just like practice. You know, taking a slap shot or whatever practice people hockey do, or whatever people hockey players do. Yeah. It's just practice, and you'll find it will get easier. And I mean, you spoke about from what I know, you were known for your physical shutdown style of play.
Yes.
And you talked about that anger, and as a defenseman, you're checking people. So how do you let that out now? I mean, you're no longer playing. You change your routine. How do you stay competitive? Are you now trying to say, okay, every broadcast I'm gonna be better, or what do you do?
Yeah, I think broadcast, I realize it is kind of like going into a game day. So, I mean, I got my tunes on now, but I don't think it's like as intense as playing. So, I'm looking.
You don't get to hit anybody.
Yeah, no, exactly. So, I think I'm looking for new ways to be competitive. I love going to spin class. That's like my way to stay active right now, is just going to spin class. But I also love boxing. So,
Okay.
yeah, we could throw more.
I'm good. Sure. I'm good. No, you and Tristan, y'all might go in the bed. Not me.
But yeah, I don't know. Maybe run a half marathon or something. I don't know. Something that athletes do after they're done. Like, I don't know. We got to figure it out.
Something that athletes do after they're done. That's good. That's a quotable one. That's good. Fair. When you did play, you were the first player to have an endorsement deal. How did that come about?
Yeah, so I was first player in the PHF to have an endorsement deal. So the majority of the national team girls have endorsement deals, but it was awesome, honestly. I think it was great to show the PHF players that they can gain endorsement deals as well by using their platform, being a great player, doing X, Y, and Z. So it was a huge honor. Sherwood is a brand that I've used since day one.
Does hockey stick?
Yeah.
Okay.
So Sherwood wood, they used to have wooden sticks. So my dad made me play with a wood stick for probably the first 5 years of my career, when I probably should have switched to a composite. But I started out with Sherwood Hockey, and Sherwood's also owned by Canadian Tire. My parents met at Canadian Tire, actually. My mom was a cashier, my dad fixed bikes. So we had a full circle moment with Sherwood and Canadian Tire, and they've been an unbelievable partner of mine, and they're still...
I was going to say, you're still working with them?
Yeah, I'm still endorsed by Sherwood, even despite not playing this season. They know what I can do off the ice is just as important.
Right. And that's amazing to hear. So do you think other Black females, other females in general, should have or can get those type of deals?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, they're on the table. I think as athletes, I spoke at the pre-camp for PWHL, talking to a lot of my friends and former teammates, just talking about how to use your platform. Just because you're a white woman playing hockey doesn't mean you can't support Black Girl Hockey Club. You could support mental health and wellness. There's so many different things. You don't have to be part of a marginalized community to support something. So I think as athletes, I mean, LeBron, Mavericks platform, more than an athlete, I think that's exactly what you have to move into. And I think endorsements come from that, and also being a wicked hockey player too.
That helps. Well,
Yeah.
I think that's what this podcast is about. We're trying to talk about what you do after you're done playing your sport. And one of the many things you've done to separate yourself, I think, from other people was you were in Black Ice, and that's how you really took off and became famous and did all the good stuff.
Famous? I don't know about famous, but
I mean, apparently some idiot didn't let you in at the party the day you should have known. So I don't know. I would say you're pretty famous. Once he found out, that never happened again. Now did it, Soroya?
Yeah, we hosted next.
Right, there you go. So how did you get into Black Ice? How did you tell the story of that?
Oh, goodness. So, I mean, I remember seeing it online that Drake, LeBron, and Maverick Carter were going to put out this documentary about Black ice hockey players and the history of our contributions to the game. And I DM'd Maverick, actually. I DM'd him. It's funny now. I'm like, hey, Mr. Carter, like, are you planning on adding female perspectives into the movie? And then from there, he didn't necessarily reply, but the UN Canadian team reached out.
That's so cool.
And we went from there. I don't think they knew how much of my story they wanted to implement in the beginning, but I think they really enjoyed working with myself and my girls from Soroya Strong and Black Girl Hockey Club, and it ended up being a comparable story to Akeem Aliou's story in Black Ice. So definitely super fortunate to have that. And actually the director, Karen Zylak, approached me afterwards and asked me if I wanted to host a TSN show. So that's where that came from.
So just like that, you went from just a simple DM to somebody else helped you now get your own show and be in a documentary that is worldwide. I think it was at Camp Fin Festival as well.
Yep. Right. Yeah, we won TIFF People's Choice Award.
Oh
we were at the Uninterrupted Festival, the first ever one, last summer in LA. And the movie's done really well and been super well received. Did super well Rotten Tomatoes as well.
Yep.
So an awesome movie that everyone should watch. I mean, if you don't know, a Black man came up with the slap shot. A Black man goalie figured out that he could come out and play the puck. Like, there's so many contributions to hockey that Black people have contributed, and it's so important that it's recognized. So if you haven't seen the movie, go watch it.
I think often people equate success with happiness. And when you are successful at your sport and you've achieved a lot, it's just assumed that you should be happy. And I think from what your face, I don't think you believe that is the case. So in your situation, we can't talk about everyone else, but do you think that that holds truth? The more successful you were at hockey, were you happy or were you still feeling the same?
Yeah, I definitely don't think that's true. I think as athletes, we're always striving to be better, but there's such a mental part of the game that is just completely forgotten about. Like, you can be physically great, like LeBron dunking on everyone, but like, I'm sure he's still in his head sometimes mentally and has to get over things. So, I wouldn't say my happiest moments were in hockey. Yeah, sure, holding the Isobel Cup, the last game of my career. Yes, sure, that's
a happy moment.
Yeah, that's a happy moment. That's success. But at the same time, being at Yale and playing hockey, D1 hockey is a success as well. But I would say I was happy for 30% of my hockey career there. So I definitely think that sport brings happiness and winning brings happiness, but there's so many aspects that go into sport that, I mean, your team can be winning, but you can be playing terribly. So, I mean, there's just so much more to it.
I'm curious to know, like, and I just thought it's like, who are you without hockey? Because you just stopped, and I'd love to know, like, who are you without the sport?
Oh, geez, just like I mean, I think hockey has been a big part of my life, and I think that hockey for other people allows for different personalities and whatnot to come out. I often say hockey is a personality, like, you know, like the coin term, like for the boys, or like just like little things that are very hockey, and not everyone understands that. It's like code switching almost. But I do think without hockey, I am calm. I've had this sense of calmness come over me since not playing, and honestly, I've been so happy. And honestly, I being a Black woman in hockey, I think I've just always had this anger cloud above me, and I just feel like it's been completely removed the past 3-4 weeks since exiting the sport.
Because you let it go.
Yeah, because I let it go. And I'm not sure who I am without hockey, in all honesty. We're still figuring that piece out.
Figuring that out.
Yeah.
What does the concept of identity mean to you?
I mean,
within sport.
Yeah, I think in sport, I mean, like you said, I'm a physical shutdown D, and that's how the outward world describes me, but they don't necessarily know me as a player. Right. So I think in sport, you can be a leader, you can be a follower, you can be, I mean, you can be a cleaner. I mean, reading different books and whatnot, like, I don't know, I think you make your identity in sport. You can be that leader on your team, and that role isn't necessarily always given to you or what you want it to be in your sport, but your identity can be something you develop throughout your game and whatnot, and it can change too. Yeah. Like I said, I used to be a rushing defenseman. I used to want to contribute offensively significantly, but I turned into defense first, shot blocking, and whatnot, so I think it can change.
And is your identity outside of hockey now that coming to life and that being formulated? Do you find now, maybe because you said you're freer, so do you get to express yourself more? Are you putting more into your art? Are you putting more into what you're doing outside of the game? And do you think that's more exciting? Because I think sometimes as athletes, we find ourselves stuck in just doing the thing and not wanting to explore anything else.
Yeah, I will say since exiting the sport, I'm learning how to take care of myself, but not in an athletic sense. So, I mean, in an athletic sense, it's like, okay, I'm going to go sit in the Normatec for an hour and then roll out and then Theragun. Whereas now I'm like, okay, well, I didn't have 4 hours of training today, but I feel a little mentally off. So am I going to journal? So I'm not going to go roll out in Normatec to help my mental. Meanwhile, that's the main part that I'm focused on now. I'm not training for 5 hours a day, so I have to find other ways to take care of myself. And I think your sport distracts you sometimes. You obviously have to be in the best physical shape you can be in to be an athlete, but I know when I'm not physically and mentally on board with myself, I'm not the best player. And I think that's the same case outside of my sport too. I don't necessarily know what I'm going to do physically now to keep myself competitive and keep in that mindset. But I mean, we'll figure it out. We're going to have to.
You talked about journaling. Is that something you do every day?
It's something I'm trying to do every day now, or even just like simple things like skincare, like going deeper into my skincare routine, just finding little things that take up time because I'm bored sometimes. You know, like you're so used to spending like a full-time job's worth on your sport. So I'm just trying to find ways to help myself out and be distracted sometimes, I guess.
Have you found yourself itching to maybe go back and play because you don't know what to do at that time? Or are you now, like, has your schedule sort of adjusted? I know it's still new for you, but have you found ways to adjust your time and schedule into doing other things?
Yeah, definitely. I honestly, when I was at pre-camp for PWHL in Utica, I was so nervous about how I was going to feel watching all the girls go out and play, especially watching Ottawa play, because that was the camp I was supposed to be at. So in that sense, I honestly didn't feel any sort of emotion, which and I think that was what showed me that it was the right time. I made the right decision to switch, and still, I mean, I covered the inaugural game on January 1st, and it was in Toronto. I played for Toronto last season, and I still didn't necessarily feel like it was my job to be out there anymore, which was really good to feel that way.
and probably refreshing. I mean, I don't think you can broadcast if you have any attachment to you being out there.
Yeah.
You know, I'm a firm believer in that. Like, I can't do it. I couldn't be able to do it if I was like, shit, it should be me out there playing. Like, if I had any jealousy or any envy or any feelings towards it, I don't think you can. And it's good. It's good that you're at that point.
And that's a growth point for me too, because I am that person. I'm like, I am so competitive where it's like, damn, like, no, like, I need that to be me. But it's like, no, it's cool. Like, y'all have it.
Yeah. As an athlete, you are immediately considered a role model for other people. And that's something that you've taken and honed and made your focus. So, you know, you mentioned Black Girl Hockey Club and Soroya Strong. What are those two things?
Yeah. So Soroya Strong is my mentorship program.
Okay.
And then Black Girl Hockey Club is our nonprofit. So through our nonprofit, we have scholarship and financial aid that we give out. We give scholarships once a year, and it's a rolling financial aid base.
Okay.
We give out equipment, and then we have a community events programming. So whether that's us going to NHL games or women's hockey games, we'll provide community events for the girls, and then the other aspect is Soroya Strong, the mentorship program. So the girls basically have open access to me.
Why was that important for you?
Honestly, because I didn't, like I said, I'm still trying to find friends now, and I didn't have many friends.
I'm your friend.
Yeah, like I didn't have any strong female Black role models when I was 10, 11, 12 that I feel like could have so shaped me and like just given me those one answers that you need, or like those questions you don't want to ask your mom. And that's exactly what I wanted to be for those girls. So all of them have my personal phone number. Most of them, if they'll try and FaceTime me and I'm not available, it's like, okay, I'll just call you later. But I do think as athletes, a lot of the little kids view you as a superhero. And I think if you can make yourself touchable and reachable, it makes it that much more realistic for them. So it was just so important for me to show them that I'm a real human and I have problems and, you know, don't always have confidence in myself just as they don't. And so it's important for me to be touchable and just real with them and show them that I'm a human too.
That's going to make such a difference.
Yeah, I wish I had that. I really do.
How many people are in each program?
So we've got about 250 girls in our database for Soroya Strong, the mentorship program. And then our Black Girl Hockey Club actually originated as a U.S. nonprofit in California. So I would say through our database for the U.S. and Canada, probably 500 young Black women that are into and playing hockey.
That is amazing.
Yeah.
What would you tell another athlete about starting a nonprofit? Because getting into the business side of sport is difficult, and if you're a retired athlete, it's something that you'd probably want to do. Like most people say when they're done, you know, like nobody wants to work a job. So as you all know, it's like it's so uncool now to do that. So how do you go about starting these sorts of businesses and like these sorts of ventures?
Yeah, so I was lucky enough to have kind of a template in front of me. So Renee Hess was the original founder of Black Girl Hockey Club on the US side. So I saw what she was doing, but Renee had never played hockey. She just loved watching the game and hanging out with her friends at hockey games and just felt the animosity between her group of Black friends yelling and screaming in the game versus the white man that's next to them. Yeah. So she wanted to make a club and a community for girls, and I said, I think we could make this so much bigger. Hockey is so expensive, and it's not accessible for a lot of people of color. So they had already started a scholarship program, but actually my first year in the NWHL, I was playing for the Metropolitan Riveters, and it was the height of George Floyd.
Oh boy.
Breonna Taylor, and I made the decision to kneel for the anthem. That was my first ever pro game. I kneeled for the anthem, and right from there I went online. I said, I have a GoFundMe. I want to raise $5,000 for the Black Girl Hockey Club US Scholarship Committee. And through that, so I had kneeled for the anthem, and then...
What was the reception to that, by the way? Did you kneel for the Canadian anthem or American?
Both.
Oh boy.
Yeah, so...
What was that like?
I think it was important to do for both, like, people act like there's no racism here in Canada, but there is. So it was important to do for both, and there was mixed reactions. Two of my teammates kneeled with me, and then our captains and assistants had their hands on our shoulders. And it was important for us to have an open conversation as a team, which our captain, Madison Packer, facilitated, which I commend her for, because she led that as a white woman and didn't put that on me.
Right.
And she explained her reason for not kneeling. She had a family member that was serving in the military at the time, but told me she respected my decision and understood why I was doing so. So that happened. I kneeled. And then Barstool Sports also wanted to sponsor and support our league. Mm-hmm. And I just tweeted and said that I don't think it's a very inclusive platform to be included in our league, especially as women in the sport. And that went off. There was a huge Barstool Sports versus me thing that went on. Yeah, the Stoolies came after me. And
the Stoolies.
I was receiving,
like all on Twitter? You just seen a lot of negative comments?
Yeah, on Twitter, like it went off. Like I was receiving like death threat emails.
Oh boy.
Yeah, it was intense. But at the same time, it allowed me to amplify that platform. And instead of raising $5,000, I raised $35,000, and I started the Canadian entity of Black Girl Hockey Club. So that's how that started, but just standing up and using my voice, and I figured I'm a professional athlete now, why wouldn't I kneel for the anthem and make a statement?
Did people boo?
It was a bubble season, actually, so it was all via streaming, so that was probably the other issue. All of the comments were online. There was nobody to boo me in person.
Right. So what, there was a video and then all the Barstool people came after you, or it's because you said Barstool shouldn't be a part of it?
It was because they wanted to sponsor the league, and they had actually sent a bunch of alcohol to the Pink Whitney to the bubble, which we were in a 2-week bubble trying to play hockey, so I'm not sure how vodka helps us, but maybe some. But yeah, I had basically just said that I didn't think it was appropriate, and I didn't think it was an inclusive platform to help further the league.
Right.
And they came for me. So.
Makes sense. Okay, we have a final game here.
Okay.
It's called 4-3.
Okay.
Something we like to do at the end of our sessions.
Sounds good.
You can answer any of the 3 questions or statements with one word or one sentence.
Okay.
Make sense?
Yep.
Are you ready to play?
Ready to play.
Don't hit me. Question 1. Hockey is. Finish the sentence.
Elegant.
Question number 2. What is one word you would use to describe your success as an athlete?
Diverse, if that works in there.
Oh, this is your show.
I think diverse. I think I have just tried to reach out and touch so many different areas of the game, and I'm going to continue to do so. So just diversify the game, diversify the workspace, diversify my skills and ability to either work, play, whatever in hockey.
Number 3. Saroya Tinker's legacy will be?
Breaking down barriers. That's the name of my show, but I think I've just opened so many doors and made so many young Black women realize that they can either be a hockey player. I mean, some of my mentees play lacrosse. They don't all play hockey. So just making them realize that they can continue to knock down doors and have open doors that they can walk into and not have to feel excluded.
Well, that concludes our interview today. I'd like to say this has been a pleasure. You will never have to worry about getting into any clubs when I'm working there again. I promise you that. I don't know your mom's name, but I want to shout out Harville and your lovely mother for the job they've done raising you. And we wish you the most success in everything that you're doing. You have broken down a lot of barriers. Proud to know you. Definitely would love to be your friend. I'm telling you that now.
Thank you.
And I think you're going to have like the measurement for your success is astronomical. I mean, you're only 25. You've done so many different things. You're now into broadcasting, thanks to me. And I think I think overall your diversification is what's going to separate you. And I think you've used sport and not let sport use you. And you've dealt with a lot of shit a lot of people probably can't deal with. Yeah. And we tip our hat to that. So Soroya, strong. You're great.
Thank you.
Thank you for doing it. I think a lot of people will learn something from this today.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Hey, if you like this podcast, it would mean the most to me and our team if you could like, comment, and subscribe to our channel.